was shell casings around, and Ben is dead from gunshot wounds. Ben's wounds were he had a bullet through the head, a bullet through the jaw, and several in the back. I think there was 8 shots in total. And they start to speculate that Ben was shot dead by an intruder, although it did not look like a robbery. There was nothing missing from the facilities, and a lot of these things were worth money, so police just kind of have this theory that it was an intruder, and the case goes cold for 2.5 years. In January of 2020, an ex of Lindley comes forward to the police with information. He claims that he was having an affair with Lindley at the time of Ben's death, and then later, 6 months after, they get together, they have a child, and that relationship doesn't work out and they break up. This man's name was Brandon Blackwell, and he claims that Lindley conspired with 2 people to kill her husband, Ben. The first was Ashley Shaw. She was an employee at the spa that Lindley owned. And the second was another ex-boyfriend of Lindley's. His name was Michael Humphrey. With this statement, police have enough to charge Lindley and Michael with first-degree murder and armed criminal action. According to Brandon Blackwell and according to prosecutors, Lindley had lots of motive to kill her husband. The primary motive was financial. Lindley had a $1 million life insurance policy. She was the sole beneficiary of Ben's life insurance policy. Not to mention, there were assets and properties that would go to her in the event of Ben's death, and she needed it because her business, the spa that she owned, Essentia Spa, it was failing. She couldn't pay her credit cards, she couldn't pay the contractors that worked on with a chance